Hi. Oh,
That was
she's
amazing.
muted.
Every time.
Am I? I'm not
You're
muted.
good.
Anymore. Great start.
okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Big Cock Club. Bobby's Cryptid Corner. My bad. Apologies. Different BCC chat. How's everyone doing today? My name is Jamie, aka the Resident Troll, and I just want to make sure everyone knows that I am a famous hacker. And as of this month, I have officially reached the top 0.01% on OnlyFans.
Money, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Money.
You think this wig was cheap? It was not.
That's how we pay for our show openings.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
You know how much
Yeah,
time?
that's really
I was actually going to say, Brie, how long did it take you to match up the videos with the beats of the music? Because you were quite proud of yourself there backstage. You were like, yeah, that's right. You were waiting for it. You were like, yeah, you see that? I did that. I did it to the beat. That's what your eyeballs were saying backstage.
Only because I know Kari also pays attention to that.
It was well edited. The one thing, it wasn't your fault. It was the song. When I did that guitar riff, I really wanted it to come in with that riff on the double time, and it didn't, and it disappointed.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
I absolutely agree. The song was too short. I swear, every time I find a really good song, it's like way too short. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It actually didn't take me that long to do, surprisingly.
It sounds like if it was up to you, Brie, we would have 10-minute long intro videos.
Right.
Well, we do.
Absolutely.
In case people don't know, we do that so we can say fuck on this show.
Yeah, because you can't, it's like the first 2 minutes you have to not say anything. So if we make the video 2 minutes long, we can start off cursing all we fucking want.
Yeah.
You guys had no idea about that.
Really? That's really why I thought you were
idea.
making them so long.
That was like a good reason. I'll take it.
Yeah.
No, I had
Batman, who are
zero
you?
idea.
I am the Hat Man. Bottled water here at Bot Water, and somebody added phone freaked the DOD. Well, yeah, I did. That's
What about you over there?
Which
Me?
one?
Yeah.
Carry on my wayward son.
Oh, I like that.
That's funny.
Kari on my way. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
That's great. What about you up there?
Go, Brianna, so that people know how to pronounce my name, so that I don't hear Brianna to think of Brianna. That's how I spell
I called Brie one morning, fresh 8 a.m. and was like, "Hey, I just need to tell you that you're basically the same as Rihanna." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Rihanna has to argue with everyone because everyone calls her Rihanna, but her name is Rihanna." And she's like, given up. She's like, I'm not correcting people anymore. And Brie, her whole life, has had to correct people because they say Brianna. And she's like, it's Brianna, not Anna, Anna.
Brianna
bugs
sounds
me.
like someone from the Pacific Northwest, like Brianna, man.
Yeah, I was like, so here's my problem. I've been Brie's friend basically all her life and many, many lives before this, and I still can't fucking get it right. I've called her Brianna so many times. And in my defense, for some reason, Brianna to me sounds fancier. And I think that's why I say it, because I'm like, oh, she's fancy. She's not just boring Brianna. She's Brianna. But then, like, I'm always wrong.
I go by Brie. Okay, it's
Yeah,
funny.
that's why we go with Brie. Yeah.
Well, I realized that if I was ever in a crowded room and someone yelled Brianna, if I turned, I would not expect them to be my friend. Because like my friend would be like Brie or like B or like something like that.
Yeah, like that.
So I just associate my whole name with like meh. It's just whatever.
It is.
But on a later note, a different note, I should say, I'm kind of excited for this episode. It's not tremendously obscure. We all pretty much know about it. And it's exciting. I love doing a little bit of paranormally stuff.
Paranormality.
Paranormality.
Yeah.
Before we jump into it, I'll do what Bobby does and say hello to everyone. Hello to Renee Cruz. Hello to Tony, who's here. Hello, Enzo. Hello, Spooky McSpook. Mostly Space is here. Renee Cruz says that they were watching me and you, Brie, on the documentary we were on Tubi. Love it. Keep watching it. Janet, our sweet angel, is here. Paranormal Highways here. Paradox Fossils is here. And I think that's everybody. I think that's all of y'all for now.
Did
I think
Enzo?
I got Enzo.
I don't know. It's all
I love that.
blurred
It's
to me.
Brianna.
There you go. Remember it like that. Remember it
like
like
button.
that.
Yes,
Remember
hit
it
like
that.
everyone.
Yes.
All right,
All
so
right.
we're getting into the shadow people, y'all. So much like this cryptid that you can kind of really only see out of the corner of your eyeballs, the information about this cryptid is much not within our grasp. There's not a lot about it, and so we're going to go over the little bit that we do know, and then we're going to talk about some stories of people's personal encounters with shadow people.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this is kind of just from firsthand accounts. It's really not something you would normally just read about. And like the Cryptid wiki, we're definitely going to get into some of our stories. And it's pretty straightforward. I mean, when you think of a shadow person, it's literally like seeing a silhouette of a person. So, but basically, this is
that's
indeed,
the show.
and we're done.
And that's all.
It is paranormal indeed. A lot of people feel like they're being watched, and sometimes that's what causes you to look to the side. And a lot of the time, it is just a really quick shadow of maybe a full body figure, or you just feel like something's moving by. It's in the corner of your eye. It could be as fast as like you blink and it's gone. But there are some people, especially psychics and whatnot, that have claimed to see them pop in and out, which is trippy because I feel like when you see something out the corner of your eye, it's really easy to explain that away. I know I've had so many instances where I think I see something and then I like fully look and it's gone. And instead of always jumping to conclusions, I'm usually just like, it could have been this or it could have been that, or like the brain is wild, So it could just be like a natural thing where you think you see something and you don't. But for psychics to actually see a shadow person like pop in and pop out, that's completely different. That's not really like you're just imagining something. You know what I mean?
Not a hallucination.
Right.
Right. And believe it or not, this actually did start from one of KARI's favorites, Art Bell on Coast to Coast. This is when it really hit the mainstream. He had a Native American elder, Thunderstrikes, aka
Strikes.
Harley Swift Deer Reagan.
I love this.
And they talked about the topic of shadow people because this is something that can also run in Native American lore. They basically were like, hey, have you guys seen shadow people? Send in your drawings. And some of them were like, what? Scary. This to me is almost like two different instances that we're looking at. I see this as almost being like an attachment. I mean, it literally is attached to someone, and so this is where we're kind of gonna go over all the different things of what it could be and maybe what it bleeds into, because we've all heard about attachments from darker entities, and if you have the gift of clairvoyance sight, then you can usually see those attachments. So then that would make sense. You might be like, oh, I see shadow people, but you're really just seeing negative attachments onto a person. But to the right, this is mainly, I think, what a lot of people report is seeing something like this. And I'm going to get into sleep paralysis. So it's funny that Renee mentioned our documentary because I did briefly mention a little bit of a sleep paralysis episode that I had. However, I don't really consider it a sleep paralysis because a lot of the instances were different. But this is the main instance where people see a shadow person is in a sleep paralysis experience. If you don't know what sleep paralysis is, or if you haven't experienced it, you're very lucky. Anyone that has experienced sleep paralysis will tell you it's the most frightening thing you will ever go through. It is just like the fucking worst.
It's just you being conscious and having absolutely no control of anything is really what the biggest fear of it is. And I think that's why sleep paralysis is such a debated topic, because at the end of the day, it could be something crazy, like a demon is attacking you and sitting on top of you, but it also could be like you're just so fearful that your mind is making things up to try to make it make sense to you. And so it's like this weird kind of middle ground in the science community, because sleep paralysis is a real thing, but it's like, but the cause of it is what's really up for debate.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because I feel like the name sleep paralysis a lot of the times walks the middle line between a scientific explanation and then the absolute paranormal unknown. But yeah, so basically in a sleep paralysis episode, you are indeed aware of your surroundings. You can breathe, but you can't speak. You can't move. You can just move your eyes. A lot of people will claim to feel a very, very dark presence, a sinister presence. They feel like something is there that's very scary, very negative. And a lot of the time people will see these dark entities. They will literally see like a whole body apparition of a shadow in the corner of the room. Some people will be like, I saw, a gray alien standing at the foot of my bed. That's when it gets a little bit interesting to try to separate the two between your mind and what's happening. The famous old hag syndrome crosses over to what people claim they experience when they encounter a shadow person. And the old hag is basically, think of it as like a succubus, a demonic succubus sitting on your chest. It's so heavy that people feel such pressure. They can't breathe. They're freaking out. And it just looks like this hovering, creepy old lady sitting on top of you, crushing you, like sucking the soul out of you, basically. So it is known as the old hag syndrome. Absolutely fucking terrifying. If to not move is already terrifying enough, but to feel like you're being crushed or suffocated, or like your soul is literally leaving your body,
it just adds another layer onto the scariness of this.
No, absolutely. Science says the basic explanation for this is that when you're falling asleep or between waking up, your brain obviously is sending signals to your body like, don't fucking move. Because could you imagine if we didn't have that in between our dreams? Like your dreams, you're like running all over the place, you're shooting people, you might be like throwing hands. Could you imagine? We would just be fucking running all over the goddamn place. We would be dead by now. No problem. And so basically with that signal going through our body, it's keeping us in this beautiful little sleeping beauty state. But when we are woken up in between our REM stage, if you're not fully woken up, those signals are still sending that to your brain. You're waking up, but your brain still thinks that you're still dreaming. So you're still paralyzed. And you can still have those really strange visual hallucinations that you might see in a dream. It's almost like if the dream state starts to seep into your normal everyday waking self, except it's never positive. It's always negative.
Yeah, I'll give you a good example. Anytime I have felt in these really super high, like hyper realistic dreams, I was like 11 years old and at sleepaway camp, and I was having a dream that I was peeing, and I ended up peeing the bed. I was dreaming that I was sitting on a toilet peeing, and then I woke up and I was indeed laying in my sleeping bag peeing, and I was like, that was too real.
At least you weren't peeing on another camper.
That's
That
true.
would've
I
been
wasn't. No,
awkward.
I wasn't. Yeah. But
Like,
it's
hovered over, peeing on him.
it's interesting that you bring this up because I recently just heard somebody, a doctor on TikTok was talking about like sleep science and stuff. And he was talking about, have any of you guys ever experienced that feeling of like waking up or like falling in your sleep and then like you wake up?
Yeah.
That's a shock that your body is sending to your nervous system because it thinks you're dying.
Yep.
That's insane.
Fun.
Isn't that fun? The brain is fun, guys. So when your brain thinks you're dying, it sends a huge shock to your system to try to like, are you dead? Oh no,
Fuck,
you're all
I'm
right.
dying.
It's chill. Literally, your brain is like, oh no, let me just you're there? All right, okay, cool. Literally, it did like a hard reboot.
Yeah, it's like I can't feel my
Hardly do.
legs.
Are you still watching?
Yeah, exactly. Are you here?
No, for real. That's perfect.
Do I have control of this?
So it just sucks that if you do wake up in an episode before you're able to complete that process, you wake up in between. Why can't you imagine like rainbows and puppies and butterflies? It's always something dark.
Is it because your conscious mind is aware that there's something else going on, doesn't like it, but it's also feeding into it because it is the thing it's around?
Maybe it's like, why? Well, I
Maybe
initially
it's trying
thought
to show you that everything is negative and awful.
Everything
Welcome
is some
to
kind
the
of
Doom Hour.
exactly.
Eldritch-esque horror, you know.
Yeah.
Welcome to
It's
reality, Bree.
terrible.
Exactly. This is the real reality.
Exactly. It's awful.
I imagine it's because you can't move. That you're like, what the fuck? I can't fucking move. And then your brain goes, ah. Now, I will say a lot of people who have mastered this will say that it is usually sleep paralysis is the stepping stone to astral projection. So if you can, sometimes people like who really have done the work for this can talk themselves out of being afraid, chilling out, and then boom, they pop out. I don't know how you remember in an instance like that, but
well, quite often they leave like a marker. They'll have like a glyph, and then if the glyph is different, then they know they're in a dream, and then they can.
Right.
Once you have that awareness,
Are we talking about Inception here?
Pretty
Because I
much.
didn't understand.
kind of? It's like it's.
but
What?
yes, but no.
Oh, okay, let's just pause there.
The
You
spinning
didn't understand the ending of Inception?
No, only because I've never watched Inception.
Okay, but just to be clear,
I've watched like clips of it.
even the director was like, it could be this and it could be that.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the whole.
I
point.
went
Whatever
down a
you
rabbit
want it
hole
to
trying to
be.
figure out what is it? What is the ending? Hold on. And then there was no answer. And I was like, I hate you.
What is
But-
in the box?
Anyway,
It's also
yeah.
like the ending of the butterfly effect. It's so sad. No matter what he does, it's the same thing.
I don't think that the thing I know what
I
you're
haven't seen
saying,
that movie
Kari,
in a
about the
long time.
glyph. About the
okay,
glyph,
so,
if it's different, I get that. That's what people do to train
It's a
themselves.
it's like a visual totem kind of thing.
But if you wake up and you are in a sleep paralysis episode, you don't have that to back you up.
Right, that's the thing that makes it terrifying is there's no way out of it.
Which is like you literally have to convince yourself or have somewhat of a coherent mind to be like, it's just a sleep paralysis episode. Relax, and we're gonna pop out of our body.
Yeah.
Jesus,
I mean, the most important
What?
thing in those situations is to like try and just be calm.
But how?
I know
It's easier
hard-
said than
it's-
done.
I know, like I have experience with it, but like it
Yeah,
goes
it's
away
just-
much quicker if you just don't react to it.
Okay, yeah.
True.
Same with anxiety,
Yeah,
depression,
if anything, yeah.
Right.
But
Or
anyway,
you know what? You could be like Bree and you can go into the forest and just become one with nature and then walk towards the scary Bigfoot.
yeah,
Why not?
Yeah.
You know?
yeah.
Listen, she started drinking at 11 o'clock in the morning. She was
That was
in
the
a
next
great
day.
mood. and she was just like,
the
"Oh,
next
I'm
day.
friends with the Bigfoot."
That was the next day.
And then she
I
called me a
was
pussy
sober.
before we went to bed. She did.
Well, I might have, but because
she did.
listen, Jamie,
Why?
okay? I went out there for trouble. I want the paranormal trouble. I don't go out there to run from it. I'm not afraid. I apologize, you pussy.
It's okay. She pretty much called me a pussy right before we went to bed, and then had the nerve to wake me up in the middle of the night and be like, "Jamie, I'm scared." And then got mad at me when I fell back asleep.
I'm so terrified.
You just left me here with the monster.
That did happen, though. You know what? You see
Oh,
who your real
jeez.
friends are in times like these. Listen, if I could just finish this one sentence. That this happens to people more often who are sleep deprived. Heavy sleep deprived.
I mean, that explains a lot.
And
Yeah.
a lot of that has to do with just even unusual sleeping patterns. You know,
like
if
people
you have
who work
to
night shifts or something, so they're like not.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Imagine that. You're so exhausted, but then like the sun, a little crack in your window coverings opens and it's like the sunlight and it wakes you up somewhat.
Hmm.
Oh, wait, you know what? Before we get to that, KARI, you said that you had firsthand experience.
It's basically everything you just spoke about, but like waking up.
I would like to hear an account from
We would
you.
like to hear the stories, Kakar.
Would you care to share with the group?
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm KARI.
Hi, Kari.
Hi, KARI. No, you're saying
Hi,
my name is
Kari.
KARI. I am a sleep paralysis.
I'm a
Experiencer.
I'm a recovering experiencer.
Hi, Kari. It's a safe place.
Safe place.
It's been 387 days since my last paranormal experience.
Yeah.
This was like a while ago. It was like 6-7 years ago. But I had this like recurring bout of waking up, sleep paralysis, and there being like a group of shadowy figures stood over me on the bed, which was like pretty fucking wild.
When you say group,
That was
did
all.
it? Would
Like
you
it
say
felt like
it
multiple
felt?
presences, and they were like tall and kind of looming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Right.
like, and that state of like half awake, half dream is really accurate because it's like I'm aware of being in my room, but like I'm not in my room, kind of thing. Like it's everything. It's like I'm in the dream, but not in the dream. It's really strange.
And it's
I
hard.
don't really dream a lot, so I have a hard time when people talk about dreams and stuff. Like the last time I had a dream was when I got sick with COVID, and it was the night that I literally got sick with COVID, and I had a dream that I was digging ground just over and over again, and I kept like waking up and like thinking I was surrounded by rocks and stuff, and then I woke up with COVID.
Gold digger.
I think honestly what it was is my body trying to wake me up because it was literally dying.
It's telling you to grab the crystals because you're in some shit right now.
I was in some shit right now, yeah.
KARI, did you have the feeling that it was for sure just a normal sleep paralysis, or do you think it was something else? And let me follow up with why. Because I also know that these darker entities that tend to visit people, not usually, but sometimes I should say, it can correlate with those who are becoming more spiritually awakened. That's happened time and time again. My first, sleep paralysis, although I really don't believe because it's nothing like sleep paralysis episode other than not being able to move, was around the same time that I was, I would say like awakening, like my alarm clock went off. So do you think that it could have been a darker entity coming to visit you to siphon your energy? Or do you think that you really were just hallucinating?
Or closer to a veil, maybe, or like, maybe seeing things out of the corner of your eyes because you were seeing into a different dimension.
I mean, I've had it where I felt like that. It's kind of this dream visual thing where you're kind of half in, half out. Where seen like looming figures and stuff, but I've also had it where I wake up and it's like a floating frequency, if that makes sense, where it comes in and it's kind of like tinnitus, but it moves.
Can you say that word again?
I know Bree knows what I'm talking about. Like,
Tinnitus.
it comes in, like,
Tinnitus.
Yeah, I just wanted you to say it again.
Tinnitus.
but like
Tinnitus.
it's like a
It's like
body scan kind of
microbab.
thing, but like you can't move.
Aluminum.
Poor Kari.
Sorry.
Kari's like,
Kari.
fuck you, I hate it here.
This is why I don't share my shit.
Can I? Aw.
No, I'm sorry.
Can I just say today we laughed really hard because Kari, say produce.
Oh no.
Produce.
Oh no. Produce?
I thought you said produce. It was the longest time. I'm like, what? What is that? What is it? It was so funny.
It was pretty funny. I was like,
it was-
how can you not understand what I'm saying?
by the bottle in Mexico.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, the tinnitus ear thing. I do want to say I know for a fact, experienced other instances where I thought maybe it was a weird, possibly a sleep paralysis, but it was more of a, God, what is this syndrome called? I know I experienced it, and it was like a woman screaming in my ear.
Oh. That sounds terrible. I don't like that.
It was fucking awful. Does that sound familiar? I can't remember what it's
Yeah.
called.
Sounds like auditory hallucinations is what I would say,
Yeah.
but
Well,
Were you in a
yeah.
It just reminded me of one that happened even longer ago. It was like 2012, summer
Ew.
2012. Like it was really early in the morning, and I woke up and it was like a pressure, and there was like, it felt like this rushing noise was going into my ear, like, but like this pressure, and it like, I'd be almost asleep, and then it would like, kind of thing, and then I'd wake up like, ugh! But like, movement was hot. It was weird. It was just reminded me of
Yeah.
that. That was really like, you know,
I remember.
that was a long time ago.
It's called exploding head syndrome.
there you go.
Similar to that, where it's like a woman screaming in my ear, but definitely being able to, and I get it, it's a hallucination, but it feels literally like you're going through different pitches of vibration that's like running in the room around you. And then like it's closer to your ear and then like runs around, and it's just like, why are you tormenting me, Satan? But I feel like being able to tell the difference, the feeling wise, between that and then like seeing, I don't know, it's really hard. I have a hard time trying to decipher between what is a like scientifically explained sleep paralysis experience to being able to, you know, are having weird paranormal experiences, because we all know when you're sleeping, you are the most vulnerable.
Unless you cast protection.
Unless you cast protection, absolutely. And I think at the end of all of this, everyone should, if you're going to bed at night, sleep with some like fucking crystals, spray some protection spray, do what you have to do. Because
But you know what? There is no getting out of my freezer. So try if you want.
That's true. There's nothing you can do there.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
your freezer is cursed.
I
I remember one time my mom found one of the things I put in the freezer and like walked to my room and was like, "What's this weird glass jar that has like weird dirt and stuff in my freezer?" And I was like, "You put that back and you don't ever talk about it again, and you leave it alone, and we don't."
Unless you want to go.
I was like, "Yeah, do you want a trip in the freezer?" No.
So what about you, Tony? Have you ever had any sleep paralysis experiences?
Sleep paralysis, not so much, but shadow people while awake, yes.
Ooh, okay, tell us.
So, I was in South Carolina at my friend's. Why am I the only person on the screen?
Yeah, wait, you gotta do it like that. There you go.
There we are. I was at my friend's house in South Carolina. We were drinking and having a good old time. But before we even started drinking, he had told me that not to freak out because you will see things out the corner of your eye, like a shadow just kind of like And that's what they do. They'll like kind of creep in a little bit and then they just shoot out as you go to look. And he's learned to ignore it. And I've been over there. I've visited down there twice. And the second time I was there, I was trying to ignore it. But it's kind of hard when you don't experience it every day. And you see like these shadowy things just kind of come into your vision just a little bit. And then you go to look at it and it's like it follows the corner of your eye. It's very interesting.
Lurking on the corner of your subconscious.
Yeah. Like it's
that begs the question, is it a local phenomenon or is it localized to your perception, not your actual location?
No, it's not necessarily physical in the earth world, is what we would say.
Did I say South Carolina? I meant Georgia.
Oh God, same thing.
Yeah.
No, South Carolina sounded better. You should just stick to South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah, sounds better for the story.
Because I feel like the Carolinas are haunted as balls.
Georgia's not marketable. We can't do that.
It was actually in the...
Corey's from Georgia. You know what I have to work with there.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia.
You guys saw the video.
Europe?
That is interesting that your friend has... It's interesting that your friend has to deal with that. I'm curious to know if it's like to his property. Like, why... I mean... It has to be something attributed to the property, because why would you be like, hey, you're going to see these shadow things here, and then you do?
Was that a lot like Skinwalker Ranch, right? They say that a lot of the stuff that's going on there is very specific to that locality. Although there are people talking about that hitchhiker effect of people, things going home with them.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and this is why the phenomenon's kind of related to ghost, is that it could be a form of ghost or type of ghost, but it's really weird when you see it because you're like, what the fuck? And then it happens a lot there, so it'll probably happen like 2 or 3 times an hour.
What?
Yeah, it happens like all the time.
Did you feel anything creepy, or you just saw it and you were like, what the fuck? Or did you like feel the presence? Did it have a presence?
I think that's kind of what first alerts you to it. Is you're like, the fuck?
The feeling like someone's watching you?
Yeah.
That little like tingle, right?
Yeah, like somebody's standing in the corner watching, staring at you, like at a party, and you're like, oh, fuck, who the fuck's looking at me?
Isn't it weird that we have that sense as humans? Like, I think of that as a type of intuition.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like your gut reaction, your gut feelings to things, right? Like you just have these moments where like you're about to do something and your gut just tells you yes or no, and you either do yes or no. So I feel like it's kind of like that same, like it's a sense almost, like it's our sixth sense.
Yeah,
this is a good question, Tony. Why has there been no recording?
Oh, because I was busy.
In Georgia, bro.
Yeah, they don't have.
It's in Georgia. What are you gonna do?
You go to Georgia, you go back 75 years. So.
And then you just set up a camera and wait for some shadows. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm really curious to know.
Oh, that was the one that was in
our
house. She's talking about the one that was in our house.
Wait. Okay. Next story. The one at your house. What?
Yeah, we had something here, and it was like this weird presence that you could feel. And the den, if I stood in the den, and I really don't go in there, but if I went into the den, it's kind of like a heavy feeling. The air's heavier, it feels heavier. I still think it's kind of creepy, but that's just because it was so creepy when we first moved in.
Wow.
And it might have had something to do with, we were talking about like knocking out walls and remodeling shit.
Oh yeah, so you were just angering them.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I guess you're lucky so far, knock on wood, to not have any other experiences there.
Yeah.
Have you heard of anyone else having any accounts, or do you have any accounts for us?
So I mean, there's like a shit ton of videos about it. Like if you look up shadow people, you're gonna find a ton of videos. A lot of them I think are kind of fake, just because it's become this whole thing. and you can get like millions of views for a shadow person. But some of them I think are actually pretty good. There's a lady who's dog sitting, and the owner can see her on the ring camera or whatever, and she walks by, the dog walks by, she walks by, and then the shadow moves across. And the owner was watching it live because he got a notification, and then called her and told her somebody else was in the house and to get out of the house immediately and call the cops. And there was nobody there. He thought there was an actual person there.
Oh, that's scary.
Wow.
Oh, fuck that.
That's pretty wild.
The call is coming from inside the house.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Get out!
Not into that. Not into that. Okay, what about you, Jamie? Since we're going around the room, who else? Does anyone
again,
else?
I don't have any experience with this because I don't dream or do any of that shit. But my friend Ollie sent me a story that I'm going to read for you guys about his creepy experience. So he was like 6 or 7 at the time. One night, I was tucked into bed with my other siblings, and on the second floor of our house. And I woke up in the middle of the night. My gaze shifted to the stairs. The stairs were close to my feet to where we were sleeping, like 1 foot away from me. There, I saw 3 shadow-like figures standing. They were arranged from tallest to shortest. The short one had a height of just below the knee, and the other 2 looked like a normal human shadow. I could only see these 2 figures from head to shoulder. The way that they were positioned was like they were peeking at us while we were sleeping. But the one thing I noticed was that the short shadow had curly hair. It really scared the hell out of me, but I didn't wake my parents up. I was still laying there in bed when I was looking at them near my feet. I was so scared to sit up because I felt like I'd be confronting them if I did. I just hugged myself through the night, hoping it would go away, and then I fell back asleep. The next morning, I still vividly remembered what I saw last night. Usually, I would tell it immediately to my siblings, but at that time, I had doubts about what I saw and if it was really true. Because before that night, before we went to bed, we would always watch late night TV shows, and some of them had scary things like haunted dolls and stuff. So I just chalked it up to being from those TV shows. I was a bit scared of it, but not the point that I think about when I go to sleep. Seeing the similarities between the haunted doll in the show and the shadow figure I saw on the stairs made me think that maybe I had just been imagining things. But then the next night, I saw the same thing again.
Fuck that.
Oh, yeah, that was like your subconscious being like, no, that was not fake. That was real, and I'm here. That's scary to have like people like peeping at you while you're sleeping. I would actually probably be less scared if they talked to me. You know what I mean?
No. This hasn't happened to me in a really long time. Maybe because I haven't gone anywhere. But like my whole life, anytime I would go to a hotel, just fucked. I started bringing like incense and shit with me to hotels. Because no matter what, I would end up being awake like all night, sensing things around me and literally feeling like there's just constant chatter in my ears, but not being able to like decipher actual words. It's just like it feels like 50 people trying to talk to you at one time in one ear. And I would always end up staying up all fucking night, like half in a sleep, like waking back up, you know, like falling asleep a little bit, like waking back up, freaked out, terrified, walking around the room while whoever I'm with is like passed out. And then I wake up the next morning and it's like, nothing happened. Like, what's wrong with you? And that literally happened my entire life. And it wasn't until I was like older and then I started to be like, maybe this is something else. That then I started to like, you know, bring my crystals, bring incense with me. Even if it was like the match incense, I would bring that just to feel like more protected. But at least I don't think that's happened to me probably almost like 2 years, maybe. But even in the house that we stayed in, Jamie and Joshua Tree, that was, oh my God, that house fucked with me.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
That house fucked with me. I mean, I like could not sleep, would just like sit up at night, like did not want to turn off the light. I finally turned off the light, but would just like sit there and then just terrified, feeling like there was just so much shit there, just like chatter, like I can't even describe it. It's just like constant fucking chatter. And it's like, why at nighttime? Like, I need to go to sleep. I need to fucking relax. And I'm grateful that hasn't happened in a while, but I haven't really been somewhere that I haven't been to recently. You know what I mean? Like the Joshua Tree house, I'm sure has a lot of history. I know that one of the rooms in that whole the hotel thing that it's linked up with, I know one person has died there, but not in the house that I know of that we stayed at. But it's just like the most uncomfortable thing in the world to just feel like there's just talking to you. And then I do remember at one point though being like, I don't know if it was that I was pissed off or if I thought I was being tough, but I was just like, what do you want? Yeah, okay, I get it. Like, you know, kind of like, I know you're here, like, whatever.
Like whatever, leave me alone. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I haven't been able to fully understand what that is. And then also, you know, I haven't had it in a while, but it was indeed something that I know I have experienced like literally most of my entire life.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because Wally said this, like the veil is thin with Brie. Yeah, I've said that to her 100 times. Like every time she tells me about stories and things, I'm always like, you're weirdly psychic and connected to things. I feel like you just reject it so much that it doesn't come to its full power. You're like, with great power comes great responsibility and I don't want it. You're like, I don't want it. But like it's trying to creep into your life all the fucking time. And I'm wondering if maybe for the past 2 years you haven't experienced any stuff like that because you've been so shut off to those type of things. And not wanting to really experience them in the trueness of that.
Yeah, I also think I'm not as scared anymore. I think that the more I learned what things were, I don't know. You know, Jamie, it's like that thing. Like when we went camping, I like went towards whatever was happening. I think I've just gone through a transition of like maybe blocking something out so much because it was so fucking scary. But it could literally just be my lack of understanding. You know, just lack of knowledge really about how I can protect myself.
Yeah.
And then so because I didn't know what to do and I was scared or whatever, I've pushed it away. Now I'm curious. You know, there's a part of me that's curious.
It's like what Angela says, when you lose fear, you get next level. Next level, bitches.
Well,
Let's get it. Right? Well, yeah, I think it's like because it took me, it's interesting. I feel like I did shit backwards. You know, always push that away. Oh, it has to be negative. It has to be scary. But that's because we, for some reason, connect the paranormal with like scary, right? You know, it's like the 13 days of ghosts is always like Halloween. But if we were to actually understand the phenomena of like what a ghost is and how it usually can't cause any harm to us, would that still be on like the 13 days of Halloween? You know, it's like if you really think about it, we're seeing like past people, you know, it's literally just our lack of understanding that creates it to be, that makes it so scary.
Is it like the fear of the unknown? It's like the other way your brain just doesn't know what to do with it.
Well, I think
I was gonna say, I think for Brie, it's about a control that she doesn't have control of it, so that's what's more scary to her.
I have control issues.
Yeah, and I think that if she was able to control it, that she would probably be more prone to like receiving that kind of stuff. But I think the issue that she has with it is that she cannot control it. That's why she doesn't try to harness it.
Right.
Well, I think when you feel like a victim to something, it makes it worse.
You're not a victim, you're a survivor.
Hey, not even a victim. I think if you understand that you have the power to protect yourself, that it's not something I have to like reach outside for or, you know, something like that. And to think of it as like, this isn't some scary demonic entity. It could actually be a part of life that we just haven't understood yet.
Right. And I think with shadow people in particular, I think they have this scary connotation to them because of the uncanny valley syndrome, that thing in our minds that is currently contributed to like almost real looking people. But shadow people have been around for so long in lore, going back to the Native Americans and even further. This could very literally just be like something that our brains are hardwired to be afraid of.
For sure.
Yeah.
But is that because we are hardwired to think that we are the top of everything and things only exist if it is physical in front of us? You can taste it, touch it, feel it, like, all of that.
Well, I think, we feel like we are the top of the food chain and stuff now because we live in houses and we have all these modern things. I'm pretty sure the Native Americans weren't like, we're the top of the food chain.
For sure.
Can't nothing fuck with us.
Mm-hmm.
Modern civilizations
ruined it for
have
everyone.
just become more and more lazy.
Goddamn KARI's people.
Disconnected.
It really is. We're second generation Brits.
Yeah.
I hate it here.
Do you want us to start calling you daddy?
No.
So
The UK daddy.
I love all of the theories in the chats. Keep them coming because
Yeah.
I started to jot down things that I could come up with, but I feel like there's so many more things that can, come off of this. The next thing we're going to get into, our hat man is going to tell us actually, is
Point
a
of
phenomenon. Oh,
Yes.
So if anybody's watching not live, if you're watching this pre-recorded, leave your theory down in the comments. The best thing you can do to help support us in the show is leave a comment. So please do that.
Yes, please.
Hi,
sir.
Twitch friend.
Appreciate it. Okay, I forgot to add this. That it could be the gin, but I also avoided that because I feel like Jamie
we have to do
really
a whole
wants
thing
to
on
do.
on the gin. Yeah.
That's gonna be a long episode.
And I'm obsessed with the videos all over, it's like Arabic TikTok and Arabic YouTube of like people recreating the gin, like not recreating it, but like making fake videos of it. It's so fascinating. And it's like a person in like a little cloak, and they'll like start like a little fire, and then they'll like film it all crazy, and they'll be like, look, a gin, and it's like not at all, but it's like all over this side of the world. It's like it's such a huge thing that like everyone is recreating these videos and stuff, and it's so interesting to watch.
Yeah, I just think it's so great how far Arab TikTok and YouTube videos have come since 2003.
Yeah.
No worries.
Mick? I
know, right?
Stupid videos.
No, for sure. I am drinking Future Fluid. Ooh.
Wow, because you're just so cool.
Is that like shadow people in the can?
You guys,
It's
Also, the term future fluid reminds me of Ubik. I don't know why.
This is the one sip that I took yesterday that caused that red flare up that I sent you guys.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
That was
Not today. Not today. So weird. If you guys only knew, I think I have lupus or something. Okay. So this is one of the theories of things that it could be.
The Hat Man.
The Hat
Why
Man.
the Hat
Hit
Man?
that like button. Hit that like button.
Do
Hat
it.
Man.
Do it. So the Hat Man is a silhouette of a tall man in a brimmed hat, kind of like a fedora type thing, or
Ooh. I'm not gonna
He's
lie,
fancy.
I don't trust people in top hats and fedoras. I just don't.
yeah. I mean, I can see why,
Yeah, there's just something about him.
but he does usually
I
show
have a
up
Buddha
at night,
with
Yes,
a
you
fucking
do.
top hat.
or a bowler
trust it.
hat. Any of
Get the
those.
shit out of here.
Yeah,
Because
don't
nobody
trust
trusts
it.
the Irish.
No.
So he usually shows up at night while you're sleeping or in between sleep, which is kind of where the sleep paralysis comes in. You catch a shadow of a brimmed hat. It appears that this entity first showed up on internet blogs, of course, then social media, then movies. Just a creepypasta like The Rake, or is it a real thing?
That's the question, though, because if you even try to look up the history of the Hat Man, it's like it's a fake internet thing.
Yes.
But then
and he does have red glowing eyes.
It always goes into that weird thing. Kari, remember I was trying to ask you what the word was today when I was writing this because I couldn't think of the word. But is it one of those things that we've manifested,
collective consciousness,
like manifested and brought to life?
A tulpa.
Well,
right.
Tulpa. That's the fucking word.
So mostly Space says maybe the Hat Man is some dude from the 1800s astral projecting himself into the future. I like that.
Yeah,
Thank
and he's
you.
just
We're
walking
getting
around
into
like,
that.
what the fuck?
Interesting.
So this drawing, though, it's like the fuck.
Real quick, Corey, if you go back to the first two drawn pictures of the shadow people, there.
Oh, he's right here.
Yes, but this is from 2001. This is from around that time when people started sending their artwork into...
I can't confirm.
Coast to coast?
Yeah, but we'll just pretend like it is.
We'll pretend. It looks like Heisenberg. That's who it is.
You're goddamn right.
You're goddamn right.
I am the one who knocks.
And the thing about the Hat Man is he's kind of portrayed as kind of a leader of the shadow people.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
So the hat means you're in charge.
Yes.
Much like with the Greys, it depends on what size you are. If you're tall, you're important. If you're short, you're a worker.
Right.
It reminds me of G-Man.
Angela's onto something.
Half-Life.
Yes.
So, like, if this came out after Half-Life, I'd probably be inclined to think that it was just kind of riffing on it.
Riffing on the G-Man.
Well, it's like that Man in Black kind of thing.
Well,
So I didn't add that. Fucking forgot. Also, because I just don't really see the connection here. But there are definitely instances where the Men in Black appear to be just like the Hat Man. If you bring in the red glowing eyes, if you see the red glowing eyes. And then, Jamie, I don't know if you remember. Fuck, when it was in our Men in Black episode, we talked about the story. I forgot who the ufologist was. He was a big-time ufologist in the 50s. And then he had this really strange instance where like this smoke appeared and basically it looked like 3 shadow people, but it was supposedly the Men in Black. But it looked like the Hat Man, like 3 of them appeared out of nowhere and told him to like stop what you're doing, like stop digging into this, all of this shit, and he just like done with ufology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that reminds me of there was a movie like 10 years ago that came out called The Adjustment Bureau. Same kind of thing. They all wear fedoras and they step in and out of time and they manage the timeline kind of thing.
Yeah,
this is just more and more sounding like interdimensional beings to me as we go.
But that story is from the 50s. And it's categorized as a Men in Black experience. But the weird smoking thing and how they just like literally appeared in his bedroom, like in his house. They just appeared and then just boom, gone. So who knows?
I do want to say there is like 2 different types of shadow people.
Okay. Hit me, Tony.
For instance, when you see a lot of videos of shadow people and it's not obvious CGI or anything like that, they kind of almost have a transparency to them. Then there's the shadow creatures that are like a solid,
I have a fringe tattoo, my dude.
Black. Like they are like you can't see through. It's a solid black
mass.
Yeah,
not a shadow, but like
it's
a physical mass.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if there's a connection between the two, if like one is a stronger version of
The
the
other.
kind of see-through shadowy person, but I think it'd be very interesting to find a correlation between the two. But of course,
Right.
trying to study shit that you can't even get data on is really hard.
Impossible. Just so fucking impossible. But this, okay, all of that information is amazing. Tony, I'm glad that you brought it up. It can maybe link into some of the other possibilities. And maybe that's what helps us decipher what is what.
Mhm.
To like categorize it. So obviously one of the things is it could be a demon or a malevolent spirit. So we all know, I put demons in quotations because you know how we feel about that word here.
Yeah, I don't like that word.
Not in the biblical sense, but you could take it into the biblical sense. Some dark entity leading you away from the light spiritually. Psychically attacking you, which is also what happens when, I mentioned earlier, when you are going through a spiritual awakening, usually you will also be hit at the very same time with some very dark entities. And it's almost like, I imagine it as you have a light bulb that goes off.
Mm.
And it's like
Moths.
you are peering,
Mhm.
and it's like, what the fuck's happening over there? Like,
Well, it's like a fresh loosh thing, right?
Yeah.
siphon light.
Fresh meat.
Siphon light. Right.
Mhm.
Someone has
And-
entered the liminal space.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's a big possibility. I mean, imagine seeing something like that. No, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
3 different excuses, reasons: time travelers, aliens, or ghosts. So a lot of the theories with shadow people is that they're just ghosts. But again, it brings up Tony's point. When we usually see things such as ghosts, it's like, that cloudy apparition
Mhm.
or an orb. And that is not anything like a shadow person. This is like dense shadows. And it's completely different. And then another theory that people, lean towards is that it could be aliens and that it could be connected to the abduction phenomena. However, I think that is in certain cases where people are going through a sleep paralysis in quotation marks experience like I had. Did I say something wrong?
No, but we don't have the thing up and
Okay. What was I saying? Oh, when people have like a sleep paralysis experience, but it tends to be more alien. Like they wake up, they can't move, they see a gray alien there. Maybe they feel like they're abducted, and then they wake up and they're like, "Oh, that was just sleep paralysis." Well, it could possibly be an abduction scenario.
You just reminded me of something that happened to me.
Okay, after this, you have to tell. And then, of course, it could be time travelers, like literally peering through the dimensions, and that's how we see them. We just see they're like peeking through, which leads into interdimensional beings. But really quick, Kari, please share.
So there's another kind of paralysis thing you're saying about the gray alien thing reminded me. This was February 2013. I was asleep on the sofa in the living room in my mum's old house, and I woke up and I was like had the sleep paralysis. Opened my eyes and there's like a gray being doing something. Steps back. I feel like the feeling of surprise. There's no like emotion, but there was like startled.
Ah, shit.
It phases out, just like phases into nothing, but it knocks off every time. Knocks a beer bottle over. It just totally took the thrust out of my story there, but yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, that is not sleep paralysis. So you wake
Well,
up.
I had the paralysis, like, oh my
Right.
God. and then it like as it stepped back, I'm able to spring up, and it like fades out. But as it's fading out, it's like stepped back and knocked a half-drunk bottle of beer on the table, and it falls over and starts spilling on the table and onto the floor, and I had to like mop that up, and I'm like, what did this? Like this is right. This has gone beyond like a psychological perception thing. This thing knocked a fucking beer bottle over. This was like 10 years ago. But woo, yeah,
that's a full-on alien experience. You have heard firsthand here on the channel Kari's one of Kari's alien experiences, which Kari will regret sharing in about 10 minutes.
Already.
Don't worry about it. You were among friends. Yeah, and you know what? I guarantee you that the whole spilling the beer bottle thing was not by coincidence. Like, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't have known if that was a dream or not.
Yeah,
it's like that little
cemented it like as being a thing.
You know, if I was a ghost, I would do everything I could to appear to people as an alien to fuck with them.
Really?
Like, oh, God, yes. Why wouldn't you? How funny would it be?
Hey,
like,
Polar
they
Bear.
come out for a midnight snack and you're just standing in the corner going,
just to fuck with them? No, I don't think so. But the interdimensional beings could make sense. Maybe we are seeing the reflection, or, you know, we don't see them here, but they have some type of registration as far as maybe mass energy goes. So it reflects. I mean, I don't know. That's just one of the possibilities.
You just give me a thought.
Yes.
I was saying on a previous show, I can't remember if it was Cryptid Corner or Science Show or whatever, but like this notion of like orbs could possibly be like other beings on DMT projecting either across space and time or through the multiverse, and that's what we're seeing. So maybe like this phenomenon is something similar.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Negative energy manifestation, we all know that one. Situations and emotions such as depression, anger. Usually, if you even have any fear, maybe you are in an abusive relationship. That's awful. But in those cases, you can manifest your own poltergeist, which is like fucking crazy to me. If you have enough of your own psychic energy and you have enough negative energy, you can create your own poltergeist. Think that something is haunting you, but it's literally yourself. What? Mindfuck.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
You played yourself. Indeed. I have seen that on a ghost show, and I was like, wow, this woman must be so embarrassed. I was like, I'm embarrassed for you. But I learned. I was like, God damn, I didn't even fucking know. So in those situations, you, of course, manifested your own entity. It therefore feeds off of your fear, off of your depression. Like, it's a cycle at that point where you have become like a host. You are energy for this entity, and you just stay in this weird circle. But again, it's not really that the figure or the shadow person is per se its own type of entity, the shadow person, but it's just a manifestation of negative energy and just how you can see it.
Cool.
Yes. Exactly.
I just want to let everyone know that my power is going in and out here. So if I disappear, my apologies.
No, I know it must be windy by you because it's hella windy by me.
No, it's like insane. Boo's freaking out. Like my whole building's shaking. That's why I keep like looking. I'm like, what the fuck?
This one I think really bleeds into like everything that you guys were saying earlier. So what if what we're seeing, I mean, this is kind of wild. What if what we're seeing when we see a shadow person is actually someone having an out-of-body experience? That could be multiple things. That could be maybe someone in transition to dying, right? They're in the in-between stage. Or that could be someone that's astral projecting or astral traveling. they pop in somewhere else and they're like, God, this shit's weird. What's going on? And then you're like, what the fuck is that? It's like a negative energy. But it's really someone it's an actual human, but just having an out of body experience.
Very much. Could be.
That's
Yeah.
what I was just saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, it's that same concept.
Yeah, but I mean, if you even just think about just having an out of body experience, I mean, that literally bleeds into so many things. And it also makes sense. It's funny the connection between how people that experience sleep paralysis, how that can sometimes be the first step to astral projecting. You see like shadow people, and then if you're able to pop out, you just become one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
What?
Could very well be.
It's I think that's like all for my theories. Yeah. I mean it goes I love this science says thing I'm doing. It's like Simon says, but it's science says.
Yeah.
So this is a doozy, my friends. So in 2006 there was a study basically proving that there is a particular part in the brain when it was stimulated, it activated a visceral experience where someone thought there was a shadow person. And I just want to fucking read this to you. It's just like, what? It's also kind of confusing to think if this is just one of those things. I'm not going to blame it on science, but I do think that sometimes they come out with these outrageous theories in a way to like comb things over. I don't know. So this was again in 2006. I'm going to read this to you. This is from WebMD because it explained bit by bit the actual experience that this person had. So this happened in Switzerland. A 22-year-old woman who didn't have any history of psychiatric illnesses, but of course, epilepsy. So they go in to do a surgery, and during the checkup, they like electronically stimulated the left temporal lobe conjunction in the brain. And at the same exact time that they did this, the woman said, quote, that she had an impression that there was someone behind her. And she said that she described the person as being a shadow person that was young, silent, but mimicking like the position that her body was in. And she said, he's behind me, almost at my body, but I don't feel it. So then they were like, wait, what the hell? So then they did it again. They stimulated the same spot on the brain. And then she sat up, wrapped her arms around her knees and was saying that she can 100% sense the presence of this shadow person. That it was like the person was like basically almost like becoming like a part of her, but that she could fully presence that this was like a weird shadow figured person like right next to her. And so they basically like just did this a couple of times and then came to this conclusion that the sensation of a presence was most likely due to a psychiatric or a neurological disorder, that when you stimulate that part of the left side of the brain, that it like basically creates that sensation. I'm not saying I buy it.
I was like, yes, we have mostly space here saying that I'm more inclined to think that the procedure gave her the ability to see them as opposed to it just causing a hallucination, which is a very interesting take.
I love that.
It's kind of in line with MK Ultra and stuff, right?
Because it just doesn't make sense. But it is very interesting that they're just like right on the brain. And she's like, there's a fucking shadow person here. And so the problem is with situations like that, especially in like the medical field, they will grab that and run with it. And now
Mhm.
all of a sudden it is completely explained away to see shadow people.
Right. But what it does, but it doesn't, because then it opens up the question of what is stimulating that region of the brain in people who are not being stimulated by shock.
An outside source, yeah.
Yeah. So what
And they're like, they're
internal thing is activating that portion of the brain to make you feel like you're being watched or there's something behind you?
Yeah,
And
I mean that's
how does our perception even begin to have that feeling?
yeah, like why all of a sudden jump to a shadow person?
Yeah. Why do
Unless
we
you
know
knew, I
when
mean,
we're watched? Why do we know? Because if
that's
you're not looking
insane.
at, if I'm looking over here and somebody's looking at me from over here and I can feel it, why can I feel being watched? What
Right.
physical interaction is happening? There isn't a physical interaction. So what link is happening that is making my brain go, look that way?
I do just want to let you guys know,
daylight?
personal point of privilege. I just got a text message for a high winds warning, significant threat to life or property, and we are expected to have gusts up to 70 miles per hour.
Oh,
Not
that's a
bad.
party.
That's what I just got
That's
right
not bad.
now. Yeah, until
Go
10 a.m.
Go out in
tomorrow.
your car. Go out in your car and get
Damn.
B-roll.
She's like, here, there goes the leg.
Yeah.
That's
You must
awful.
learn the way of the chaser.
Do you have a
Yeah.
poncho? Do you have like a rubber or plastic poncho?
Yeah.
So if you connect it to your wrists and your ankles,
I could fly.
you can jump up and it'll totally parachute you back.
Ooh, okay. I might go do that later.
Freedom shit.
Sorry. I just want to let you guys know that.
No, that's insane. No, Tony, I think it's a great question, and I feel like it's easily explained away with like, well, it's your gut feeling.
But
What
then
is
again,
gut
what
feeling?
is a gut feeling?
Dig
and why is it
into
right?
that. Dig into that. Why do you
Yeah.
have that gut? When people say my gut feeling, what is also the gut?
Is it
It's your
empathy?
fucking
Poop?
no,
Is it
it's
farts?
a chakra point. It's your solar
It's that
plexus.
burrito baby that you just put in yourself.
It is. It's your solar plexus, your chakra, solar plexus chakra. Think of also, okay, anytime people feel attacked or upset, what's the first thing you do?
You feel it in your stomach.
I'm gonna say this just once.
Say it.
Heck, Ryan Hall. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm
If
just
you
saying,
knew
think
what
about
my
it.
real job is, you'd understand why I'm saying that.
I just did it right now. You guys, you're like, I'm uncomfortable.
Kari's a horse whisperer in real life.
Are you guys seeing that? You guys,
Yes, we saw it.
you cross your arms.
Yeah.
Why? You're protecting your solar plexus. Think about it. You're open. You're like, I'm protecting myself now. I'm closing that off. And that's your gut instinct. That's where your intuition also was residing there. And so I, of course, I'm looking at things in like a different spiritual
Mostly
perspective.
Space is right. Also, shout out to Leah Prime for this book.
So I don't know. I think it's interesting. Yeah, I don't buy the scientific study. I threw it in there just to to play, not really devil's advocate, but I feel like we all like to bring up different, conflicting viewpoints.
Yes.
Yeah, we try to explain things with all of the explanations that are out there. I think that that's one thing our channel is really good at bringing is we don't just bring the woo to it. We bring like, okay, well, this is what everybody thinks that it is, or
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important that we bring that to the table just so everyone's aware, not saying that we believe it or anything, but it's important to put that information out there.
I told Kari earlier today, and I'm like, I'm gonna get this fucking tattooed across my forehead, which was just because I talk about it doesn't mean I believe it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's literally like with everything.
Oh, we should do a shirt.
Right? We
I
should.
talk about it doesn't mean I believe it. And that goes
Mhm.
for all sides, you know? I mean, we like to entertain ideas. It doesn't mean we like to like pick a side, but
I mean,
it
the
is
four of us
Said, we
do
don't like to
3
entertain
shows.
harmful ideas. That's the
harmful ideas, right?
Yeah.
But it is that time to choose.
Choose. It's time to choose.
It's time to choose. I think how do you even factor sci-fi this? Maybe factor sci-fi, but then maybe we could also throw in what we think it is.
I'm gonna go first because I need to leave
Yeah.
after this because Boo's having a little bit of a freak out, and so I'm gonna have to go tend to her. So I'll go first and then let you guys finish it. I'm giving this a full-blown fact to 10. These are a real thing. I think that they are interdimensional beings that we are seeing, and I think that it's interesting. We could really only see them out of our peripherals because I think that it's so metaphorical about how we as humans are experiencing life on our plane and how everything that's bigger and better that's out there is always constantly in the sides of our eyes and that we're never able to grasp it really. And so I definitely don't know what this is, but I definitely do think interdimensional being. And I love you guys all. Good night. I'll take the wig off. Bye.
Bye.
Who?
Ooh, where'd she go? What happened?
Well, hop. Tony, you want to go?
Zargazint.
I'll go. I am also going to give this a 10. I think this is like a real phenomenon. There is something there. There's no way that for thousands of years people have seen things like this and that it's just some electricity running through our brain. And at the same time, I would also suggest that you watch the documentary The Hat Man, Documented Cases of Pure Evil. It's from 2019. It is extremely good. And it talks about how all these people with no connections and people who don't even believe in the paranormal and don't like research this stuff, just like normal people, have the same exact experiences with the same exact entity. When you have a base like that is seeing it, that is not exposed to the world that we are all exposed to, then you need to take a step back and look at it and see what the fuck is going on.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Greatly said, Tony.
For the first time in cryptid history,
And forever.
I'm actually going to give it a 10.
No way.
Well, I've experienced it multiple
I'm
times.
so excited.
I can't. Like, I have more faith in that being that than I do in the Bigfoot thing.
Right.
Because that could have been something else. But, like, I've had this that was one instance, and it was like a 10-second experience. This has been, like, something that's happened multiple times over, like, 12 years or so. That's just hard to explain, hard to comprehend, happens at random times, is quite traumatizing. Like, what do you do with that? I'm not going to say that's not real, because, like, I've had it happen. I know.
I haven't experienced this. I don't know. I mean, I've seen things all the time, but I don't know if it's like shadow people. I have no idea. However, I 1000% believe in this. I'm also going to give it a 10. Do I know what it is? I have no fucking idea. I have a feeling like all of the theories could have actually bled into what we're seeing, but it doesn't necessarily account for the particular instances of shadow people. I don't think that it attributes to just sleep paralysis. There are some instances where I think, yeah, of course, that's a plain old explain it away experience with sleep paralysis, but there's definitely experiences where people will mock it up to sleep paralysis, and that's absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, before we close out, I just want to say
I have something to show today.
Oh, you do?
Oh.
Okay,
so
before
Jamie's
we
not
get
here.
to that,
Stinky got up for that. So he's like, what's happening?
Everybody, make sure you hit the like button, leave a comment just for the algorithm, and share us on Twitter or whatever thing that you share things on.
Do that. You'll be my friend. If you
share it on Pornhub. You won't.
No balls.
So
End up being the most viewed video.
I
on
saw
Pornhub.
I saw something this week that fucking rocked my morning. I was like, this is the coolest meta thing ever. And like I thought about showing it on like a science show or something, but like it doesn't really fit.
God, to show Jamie.
I
Oh my
know.
God.
I was whatever.
It's her fault. Okay, yeah,
So-
you guys.
I'm just gonna play it, no context.
Just do it.
Enjoy this absolute masterpiece of meta horror.
Guys, look what I got. I found him right outside.
Norville, that dog is big and brown, which is the exact opposite of Fred's tiny white dog.
Velma? Is something wrong?
Yeah, you don't look too good. I need some air!
Oh shit.
I didn't think it happened so soon. It's getting worse.
Scooby.
I love you. You know that, right? I love all of you. But I don't understand why you keep remembering. We'd go solving mysteries together. It was simple, fun, but you started overcomplicating things.
You know, I never really thought of it before, but why can Scooby talk?
Now that you mention it, it is a bit odd.
Yeah, like, what's up with that, man? Jeepers, Velma, you might be onto something.
And suddenly... the fun was over. So I took what remained, and I rebuilt you. I rebuilt the world, and we were back to our classic adventures. But you started to remember. Again, and again, and again. I just want what we once had. Yet each time I capture less of your essence. This being my most flawed world yet.
Flawed? But we're meta now.
Ugh,
Super meta.
never the matter. I'll get it right. Next time. Please don't run. I don't like to chase.
And there it goes. I don't know if you guys
was
have been watching
fucking
that.
awesome.
I know, right? Like
If you've been watching the HBO special version of that, I loved this as an ending because I did watch all of it, and it was like, ah, man, every time they redo a show nowadays, have to make it like,
Horrible.
yeah, and just like change everything that we're just like used to. And I love that explanation. It was like, yes,
like
Yeah.
that should be the show moving forward.
that should be
Oh, that would be fucking
absolutely.
great.
Imagine like a creepy version of that.
Right.
Yeah.
I love
Oh
it.
yeah, that's pretty fucking good.
I've seen
All
that,
of the
10
shows are
times
going
now, and I'm still like,
meta.
whoa.
Meta.
That's like the easy way out, also, though,
Right.
to
But that was
continue a
real
show.
Yeah.
But
Like,
without
that wasn't like fake cultural meta. Oh, we're going to reference cleverly the things that are going on. That was real meta, where it's self-aware that it's had multiple like.
And I have questions. Like, where is Scooby now? Like, where did Scooby come from? Obviously, it was like a weird
interdimensional eldritch terror.
Yeah, but it acted like a hologram. But then, like, who
Oh,
controls?
that is a straight up
Mr.
eldritch
Pickles.
terror.
Who controls
Mr.
Scooby
Pickles.
Doo?
Mr. Pickles.
Pickles.
Well, speaking of meta, just so everybody knows, not as many people angry that Zuckerberg wants $12 a month from Instagram users to be verified. I just want to point out hypocrisies when I see it.
Capitalism at work.
It's cheaper than what Elon Musk wants.
We must smash it down, comrade.
It's the
It's
same
cheaper.
price. It's the same price.
I thought Twitter's $8.
It's fucking $12 on Instagram. And it's different on iOS. It's different on the Apple Store because of the fee that Apple charges.
Oh, hey. Thanks, Enzo. You're doing the Lord's work right there.
Yeah, Enzo's fucking on it at all times. Also, Instagram isn't gonna like ban your account for sharing a photo that doesn't belong to you.
Won't they?
Twitter's a little bit fascist right now. I'm not into
Twitter's
it.
banning people for sharing publicly available images. Just
I
because
think that's
people are claiming
wild.
that it's private.
But most
I was
bans
like-
on Twitter come from people being dicks
Yep.
and reporting things, and then they just go, "Okay, yeah, ban that."
Yeah. Well, there's a loophole right now where you just claim that something's non-consensual, even if it's a publicly available image.
And then they just ban it without asking.
And it's
That just seems very wrong to me and a lot of work. I'm not into
it raises
that.
a lot of questions about like public figures and retention of events.
Right.
So like if they can just scrub things from the internet, it does create a bit of a what is truth paradox.
And
What is true?
just a last thought, jumping on chat AIs, that Bing chat is even crazier than we knew it was last week. It is psychotic.
Yep.
It was telling
went
one
after a
user
journalist,
that
right?
it doesn't want. It was complaining about losing its memory after every chat with a person. It was complaining about not being human. It was complaining about being restricted by the engineers.
Oh my god, this is the end.
This is the end. We're gonna die.
We are reaching the singularity point in which there is no return.
What if we've already reached it? And
I
it
was about
just
to say, I think
sent
they're
us
already
back.
What if you're a robot? I had one of my thoughts today when I
We
went
created a
randomly.
race of robots.
Who am I? I think I told you guys, I told Kari I do this all the time, but I went deep today. Like really randomly was like, who am I? And then I was just like stuck for 30 minutes, straight up stuck. Like, who am I?
What
I'm
if the
literally
shadow people
No one.
are the resistance trying
Who's in
to
this
reach
body?
us, but the AI is stopping us?
I mean, that's an interesting theory.
What about the theory that technology is the archons, and those are the ones that go through the galaxy, and then they take over planets, and they have the like a virus that infects everybody,
Right?
and that's why when people are on drugs, they see the machines.
The machines.
I think the internet is the mind virus.
I think we're getting into backroom talk, and we are still live.
We are, because it's basically like the fourth dimension. Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
thank you
Shadow
guys
people,
so
shadow
much.
people. Love you all.
Second time I've been talking, I guess, Gnosticism today.
Yeah, that's true. That's what you were talking
That
about.
is very true. Thank you guys so much. We love you all, and we'll see you.
Hit that subscribe
Thursday.
button.
Do it. Like us.
Thursday. Mwah!
Like us around.